So good afternoon. We just solved, well, when I say we, I mean me and Lionel. Actually, that's probably a bit dangerous having it so close to the computer. However, welcome to the Gold Coast Muso's Jam Chat. And I just had a small coronary because I was trying to sort out my internet. So without further ado, we're going to get the guys on. So straight away, here we go. It's Steve, Pete, Bergie, and the other Doug.
How you going?
How are you all?
Hey, guys.
Hey, Doug. Hey, Doug. Hey, Bergie.
Hey,
Am
guys.
I working?
Well,
Am I actually working?
You're
this
all
time?
good, Bergie.
Oh, I've got it right this time. Look out.
It's me with an issue this week. Usually it's someone else with an issue. But if I could headbutt my router, I would. But, you know, I got to practice to saying I love it. So what are we talking about this week, guys?
Drums.
Drums? Well, Pete.
Yeah,
all right.
I saw that.
Just let me get ready, okay? I'm comfy now. Where you go, Pete? Where you go? It's your
I've
turn.
allocated about 15 seconds for that.
All right, you're up, Pete.
Come
You're
on.
up.
Oh. Well, what can I say? Not much.
Well, do you have a preference mate, to a particular
what drum kit?
brand? What sort of snare do you use?
No, I have found recently that I've got a what they call almost a concert kit, and it's a Yamaha, and it's big and beefy and got a great sound, but lugging it around gets more and more of a problem. Probably that's an age thing in a way. So I'm looking
for the drums
at
or for you?
yeah, both actually. not that I'm doing too much lugging these days because I haven't sort of put myself out there for anything too permanent, but you know, you never know what might come up. So I'm always ready to go and play. But and I've got a fabulous set of Zildjian cymbals that I've had for some years now, which I absolutely love. And so yeah, but I'm looking around for perhaps a smaller kit because some of the smaller kits have got some fantastic sound, even though the toms are smaller, and but they end up with a really great sound. And I find actually they're a lot easier to play in some respects because some of the distance thing, you know, when you're moving a stick from the snare to a couple of tom-toms, the space becomes a bit closer with a smaller kit. So sometimes it's a bit easier to play. It's a bit of laziness coming through, I suppose. But
Yeah, right. Okay.
So I guess my 17 seconds are up. The other thing that
Oh, sorry, mate. You want another fight? All right, that's enough.
More questions.
I did have one other question though for you, to John, early in the piece. Where is our Blues Is All Right track that we started to put together? That
Yes,
you know.
Yeah.
So I just got
you asked me about that, Pete.
Oops, sorry.
Yeah. Yes, good question. So I need to set up a Dropbox thing to collate all the videos. So Doug's inspired me. I just saw his video, which is awesome, the other day. And yeah, so I was supposed to do it last weekend, but I got sidetracked doing a thing for someone in Germany.
Okay.
So this weekend's project, as
good.
you do. Yeah, because I would really like to do that. There's Michael. Here we go. Hey, Michael, how you going, man?
Hey, Michael.
Michael should jump on. If someone sends him the link, you can jump on, Michael, if you want to have a chat. But
I've sent you mine. I just need you to confirm that you've got it and it's okay.
Okay, I haven't done that yet, to be honest. Yeah.
Okay.
Right. Yeah.
Well, it's there for you to. I'd make it your next project when you get off this.
Yeah, that'd be good, Pete. I haven't even got mine yet.
And then send it to Steve.
Okay, let me send it. Well, I'm going to. Okay, cool.
So what actual format is it, so to speak?
The format of
the
music?
Recording.
I just made it MP3, and then I just want you guys to film yourself playing music.
It's drums and bass, which has already been done, and then you've got to build around the other geniuses around that, of which there are a number on this screen.
All right. Send it over.
Yeah, Bergie.
Yeah, cool. And so
I was speaking to Paulie Motors too yesterday, mate, and I was talking to him about it, and he's pretty excited to see what we come up with.
Yeah, I think that'll be great.
Mm.
But good question. Sorry, Pete. I didn't think I'd be doing TV shows. I got 2 tonight. I got a New York one on Saturday, and it's just been out of control. And that's like number 5 this week.
Name dropper.
That's my gesture. Yeah.
I really like that. That's fabulous.
The gesture, name drop.
I learned it. I learned it from you. I've been using it with people.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I just made it up. Yeah. Yeah, I keep waving around coffee cups, but it's probably the most smartest thing to do with the $3,000 laptop and wave it around crap in front of it. Has everyone got a cup tonight?
No, I'm on water.
Oh.
I can get a cup if you wish.
So those who are watching, please ask any questions, or if you want to join the chat, maybe text Steve, email Steve.
I've got a question for Pete. For Pete to sound interested in drumming. Why did you take up drum? Why the drums, Pete? Of all the instruments, why the drums?
That's a really good question. And remember last week.
Hard.
I've been interested. I've been reading about how humans pick up music and rhythms and bars of music and that sort of thing. And Bergie touched on it a little bit last week, where he was telling about his mother playing piano. And I think obviously we get affected by that very, very early in our lives. So I don't exactly know what the answer is, but I can say this. I was exposed to some fabulous early music at a young age due to, again, my father bought me some great records, of which started really with Elvis Presley, and moved onto other artists, including Eric Clapton and John Mayall, even early in the piece. But I found that and I never owned a set of drums, but I found that mentally, by the time I actually got to sit on a set of drums, first time I sat on a set of drums I could play. Wow. So I was at a party, there was a set of drums there, guy was playing guitar. I said, could I have a go on the drums? He said, yeah, get up and have a go. We played a song. So somewhere, I've never had a lesson in my life. Somewhere along the line, it gets into your brain, and and that's what's interesting. It gets there, and I knew all the pieces, and all the limbs knew what to do, and it just happened. So there's your answer.
Are you a drummer in a past life, mate?
Yeah, I think I was on the ark.
Interesting. It's interesting that you say you hadn't had a lesson, because you're one of the drummers, like, apart from having great capability, you're one of the guys that really watches the main person when we're having a jam. A lot of drummers are head down, doing their own thing. You're one of the few that actually watch.
Yes,
who's driving the particular gig. Yeah, I didn't say names, mate. I was keeping that out. But you're one of the few that actually watch and look at what's going on and then adjust to that, which I think is so. It's amazing you haven't had any lessons. So it's pretty cool. Yeah, that's all I'm saying. Nice about drummers now. I'm done.
I take that as a compliment, because I think, and again, we've discussed this before, a band is not just one just one person. They can be, four people playing individually, and it sounds like crap. But if it all works together, and a group of 4, if they're really mentally supporting each other, can sound like 7 or 8. And if I see my job as really, the first step is to link in with the bass player, and the second step is to support the front line, particularly the vocalists, and know what the song is, know what the song dynamic is, know what their highs and lows are, and create that level of confidence. So that, and we've spoken about this the other day too, Doug. We had a great conversation privately, Doug and I, the other day, which is good.
Oh, yeah, not me, the other Doug.
Doug Marson, and create that level of confidence, and then it sometimes, and you see it on the jam night, sometimes it just flies.
Yep.
It's worth. Sometimes it's just world class. It's just fantastic.
Hey, do you have a preference to drummer sticks, Pete? Like, how heavy are they?
Yeah, I do have a preference. And I forget his name. I use those black ones, and they're quite light. and I can play any stick, but they're the ones that I like, and they're Eric Clapton's drummer. I forget his name. Anyway, yes, I do have a preference, but the problem with the black ones, and you see it sometimes in the film clips, they don't show up in a dark night. It looks like you're playing with nothing.
Air drummer.
It's like air drumming.
Oh my
Backing
Lord.
track, yeah, I knew it.
Yeah,
I
the
knew
black
it. Backing
disappears.
tracks.
So
You're
yeah,
a fluoro one.
I've got a set I've got 2 sets in the gear. They're quite expensive. They're about $40 each, I think. I've got 1 set in the car, and I have 1 set in my office. So I keep them. I keep a fair few just in case of emergencies.
Musical
play with
emergencies.
Yeah, I've got brushes. I really like brushes. Brushes are very hard. It's brushes is a world on its own. It's a very subtle world. Brushes. If you're in a band if you're playing a song with brushes, you really are playing a very subtle. You're the wind going through the leaves of the trees. It's
Whoa.
it's very yeah.
That's deep. That's
Hang
deep.
on, I better write that down. That was so
Yeah.
good.
Yeah. That's a song lyric there. Now look out.
So I really like what you said just before then, and Steve, I just emailed you the track. It's done.
Okay, come in.
I really like what you said before. Oh, hang on, we got a comment here from Don. So Don, maybe you can join in, Don, if you're around. Peter, are there left and right-handed sticks?
Yes.
That's why he's the singer.
Very good question, Don. I keep a even amount of left-handed sticks and an even amount of right-handed sticks.
I see.
And if you get them confused, if you do the wrong thing there, you start playing a song and they just fall on the floor.
You play it backwards.
Yeah.
So I like what you said just before there, Pete, about, you didn't really have any official drum lessons per se. So here's a funny thing about music is that before we could speak, and this is my music teacher hat on, as I tell all my students who I teach drums with, before we could even speak, we were interpreting vibration. So even through our mother's stomachs, we understand instinctively what a 4/4 rhythm is. We just feel it, and it's that raw. It's actually an experience of being felt. Yeah. So when I teach kids drums, this happens, is I get them to close their eyes, because when they're looking at a drum kit, they get so nervous, like, oh well, way too much visual stimulus. But then when they close their eyes and they actually connect, and this is another thing about teaching drums, is I get them to use their right hand and right foot at the same time. So when you're learning anything, the first synapse, that's the little thought connection in your brain to say, drive the limbs. It's the first thing that 2 motor skills are working at the same time. This is what I do. And then I get them to close their eyes. So I get them to go 2 limbs, right hand, right foot, and then 3 limbs. But just 2, 3. And when they close their eyes, rhythm happens. Like, I didn't show it to them because it's built in, So I agree with you what you were saying, that things just come out with no thought or explanation.
Yeah.
It's pretty deep.
It is quite deep and quite fascinating. And I think, and that sort of leans to what I was saying earlier, that my experience was that, and I was playing lots of records that I absolutely loved. I was, really over them. It was like visiting a new planet when I heard some of this stuff. And, much to my parents' credit, because they were into classical music. So for them to be allowing me to go down this path quite young was very progressive of them. And so I had a lot of stuff in my brain, and I don't know why it was drums. It just was something that hit really fell into the brain. So much so that when I first sat on a drum stool, I could play at the party with another guitarist. So it's a fascinating sort of starting point. And from then on, it's a journey for your entire life. And look where we are now.
And
nearly famous.
Yeah.
Nearly famous.
I think you said something else really cool there. You listen to a lot of your favorite records. So when you listen to your favorite records, you can't help but soak it all up, because if you're not really engaged, it's like, oh, yeah, cool. There's a bass and there's the drums or whatever. But when it's your favorite record, you probably spent, 70% more time listening to that one track, right? So you're more intimate and aware of all the musical conversation that goes into building tension and release, turning songs through corners. So I guess that kind of listening happens automatically. And when you are, what you just said, you were actually listening. So you were probably listening while you were, I don't know, doing the dishes, maybe not mowing the lawn, but multitasking, I guess, is a probably better way. So therefore, when you are drumming, that's what you are doing. You are actually multitasking. You're actually doing your thing, but you have to be aware of the bass and the other and the guitar players, mainly the guitar players.
Yeah. All right. I remember.
I agree with that.
I had a record player and a set of drums in my room at home, and I'd come home from school and put a couple of records on and play to them. And good way to start getting yourself a bit disciplined with speed or tempo. And I remember I used to love playing to the beginning of Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band because it starts with drums, and it's a very, very basic, simple ding, 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 very, very basic stuff. But it was drums only, and then the rest of the band came in, and it's really the formula that should be used for just about every song. Start with drums, but it was just a powerful feeling to be playing along with this, and then have the whole of the band come in afterwards. It was just, really very, very exciting time.
I'd say guitarists definitely listen to drums differently than drummers listen to drums. I've learnt this with Brendan Marcus's teacher that comes down to Springwood Jam. When I first 7 years I've been sitting once a week for drum lessons with Marcus. And now I listen to drums in a completely different way that I used to prior. You'd be sitting there and, Marcus and Brendan are waffling on about drums and whatever. And, mate, it's totally different now, the way you interpret what's going on with the drums. I never knew that drums could play with the singer, so to speak. Yeah, all that sort of thing. And then, mate, as far as I was concerned, keep the beat back there. That's what you do. Drummers are back there keeping the beat. But it's totally. And then to what, mate? I don't know, young Brendan, mate, as a teacher. Oh, mate, he has smoke machines and lights and a bit like what Steve's got here now. And the kids are having a lesson, and he's recording like the kids on stage. So my boy's been on stage since he was 7 years old with lights and all, and his brain just opened up, and Brendan just put a bucket load of like drum goop in his head. It's unreal to watch the teaching side of it.
For me, I've been playing drums since I was 14, but I learned to play on a left-handed kit when I'm right-handed, which now I play a right-handed kit. It kind of fucks me up a little bit, but for me, mate, a really good drummer, like Doug said, like I'd listen to every component of the song. I'm a guitar player. I love guitar, but for me, I listen to everything. And a really good drummer with a really, a proper piece of music written, the drummer itself, the drummers become an actual individual instrument, not just a timekeeper.
Yeah, absolutely.
And especially when you've only got 2 or 3 pieces in a band, like the drums have to feel so much more and be in front instead of at the back. So, for me, man, I'll go to a gig and after I've watched the guitar player for a while, I'll stand there and the rest of the gig, I'll be just watching the drummer.
Drummer, especially when they're doing something other than just keeping time, right? Where they're keeping time, but they're also doing this other stuff. That guy that you had at the Wallaby that night, Doug, last time you played at the Wallaby, I can't remember his name.
Nathan Goldman. He's amazing.
Yeah. He was, like you were saying, every time before he did a solo, he would say to the crowd, try and keep up with where the wonders. And I'm sitting going, holy crap, it's all over. But it always come back on time, and it just made it all interesting as an instrument. I totally agree with you, Steve. It is an instrument. It's not just a timekeeper as much as I rag on drums and everything.
Bevan, perfect example.
Oh, he's great.
Bevan's phenomenal. Yeah. And
Pete's bloody good. Oh, sorry, Pete's bloody good as well.
Of course, Pete's the master.
Yeah.
Oh, that way. Pete's the master.
This is part of the joy of the jam nights that I'm finding, and I'm surprised at how much I'm really, really enjoying it.
Might be the drinking, mate.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, I think and now, particularly in the lockdown, you know, these conversations that we've been having have been fantastic. And, you know, I've learnt more about Steve, for example, in the last couple of weeks than I have in the last year. So it,
awesome.
Yeah. So, you know, watching the different players and watching the different combinations, you know, do their thing. And I really, you know, I admire everyone that gets up. It requires an element of courage to be able to get up in these jam nights because it's not easy. And we all run the risk of it falling over a cliff. And sometimes it does. Tough luck. We get up and we, you know, get back on the horse. But the outcome of it is that with the risk, you sometimes get some fabulous outcomes. And I've seen some really good stuff.
Yeah.
Really, really good stuff.
So here's a question for everyone. Whose job is it? So maybe we go with you, Bergie. Whose job is it to keep time in the band? Bergie, you go first.
I believe it is the drummer. It's the drummer's
Okay.
job.
Doug, what do you think?
I think everyone. It's
Okay.
interesting having this conversation with Bevan. Oh, sorry, I think everyone. I won't quantify my.
You're breaking up there, Doug.
I was having this conversation. Oh, sorry, mate. I think it's everyone. And I had this conversation with Bevan where he was saying, you know, even guitarists should practice to a metronome, which I quite actually agree. There are times when I use a looper. A looper's a great tool for you, right? Yeah, not the singer. No, never the singer.
Singers
I don't know
aren't
where the hell to come in. No, that's right. I don't use it. You know, when you use a looper or something rather than you set it up for like a long 12 bar or something, by the time you click that looper pedal again and you realize how much your timing's drifted out without a metronome or, you know, like I think everyone's responsible for the time.
Okay. And Pete, what do you say?
It is everybody. And, but the drummers got a high level of responsibility there because if they get it wrong, everyone will get it wrong.
That's it. That's exactly it. You're the one that's got the foot pedal doing that.
That's right. Yeah. So if all of a sudden I'm going too fast, everyone will be going too fast. But so it is a combined thing, but it does start with the drummer, in my opinion. Although if I'm playing a song at 100 beats per minute and I go to 97, no one will pick it up. It's difficult. But if I'm playing 100 and I go to 108, you'll know it.
Yeah.
So there's a level that you can work in that won't affect anyone, but there's a boundary that when you get outside of that boundary, you're starting to muck the song up. But having said that, go and find some live tracks of your favourite artist and get your metronome on your phone. I've done this with Eric Clapton numbers. I've seen him live at a show where he's going 94 at the start of the song and he's doing 102 at the end of the song. So even the best artists in the world don't stay exactly on track in their live work. So
you'll hear that on studio work, but too.
Yes, you do. Yes.
I can't think of anything right now, but I'm sure I'm sure that's just sped up, just a bee's dick, but it's sped up and it's like, well, is there a click track there or something? Well, I don't know.
Might be a dick track.
Could be.
What about Steve? What do you think?
Mate, for me, for me, if the bass and the drums are, working together as one, that allows everybody else
to do
kind of experiment a little bit, and you always know where you're going to come back in because you've got the tight two guys in the background keeping it all together. I find that if you go and solo off in your own little world for a bit, if the drums and the bass aren't tight, mate, it's loose. Like you don't know where you're coming back in and what bar you're coming back in on, and it gets out of control. So I think the drums and the bass for me are really important for me to be able to experiment. Otherwise, mate, it makes it a bit difficult. But you're concentrating too hard. Like you're listening to them guys going, "Fuck, what are they doing?"
They're making me sound like shit.
Well, I think,
and we're saying, well, we don't care.
Yeah.
well, I tend to
I'll
agree.
tell you one thing, Dad. Look, on jam nights, like I know when you're playing with like Brian Clark and there's a few drummers, mate, where when the song's going for a little while, to break up the boredom, they'll change the drum pattern or they'll change the speed, and it makes it a bit more enjoyable listening wise instead of just the same old 4/4 25-minute guitar solo. Like it's and usually if the drummer starts to do that, automatically everyone will fall in and follow him. So and that's what I do anyway. So yeah, I think that for me, man, the drums and the bass are really important.
Yeah, well, I think getting back to, I think maybe Doug and Pete, it's everyone's job to keep time. This is just my opinion, because here's an example. So if there's like a hit in a song where everyone hits on beat one, but then everyone has to have that internal clock to come back in. And if you're not aware of the internal clock, then you get the flamming, right, where everyone doesn't come back together. But the other thing that I think of what Steve was saying, I like about rhythm section. So I mean, as you know, I tend to step out a little bit playing, but I only do that when there's a rhythm section that I can feel this trust word. And I remember going to a masterclass with Herbie Hancock. There's a name drop. Herbie Hancock. I mean, he played. I mean, he's a monster. He played in Miles Davis bands. He played, you name it, he's done it. So he was saying he only works with people that he can jump off the cliff, like what Pete was saying. He wants to fly. He wants to just like take off, and that everyone will comp. And like as Bergie was saying, oh, they're making me sound like crap, because the role of the rhythm section is called comping, and the word comping means complementing, right? So anyway, for me to actually give real world examples is that if the rhythm section is drifting, the drums and bass are sort of drifting apart, I will play more simply so they can lock on. So I will play, maybe crotchets or eighths, or play a hit, if I do. And so the rule is, if you do something really cool, do it twice, so the rhythm section can catch it the second time. So if I go as a lead bend, and then the rhythm section will catch it, because they're actively listening. But it's a practice, right? Because like as Pete was saying, if you need to actively listen to everybody, because like as I'm doing my thing, the bass player might have an answer. I might go So the bass player just answered my thing, but the drummer has to hear both of that. He might catch the first one, and he might not do the first part of the bass, and it will catch the last one. So I know with playing like with Nathan, etc., he's amazing. We've never discussed how to actively comp, and he's a master at just being there. But anyway, that's just my 2 cents. I don't know if anyone else has got an answer. But yeah, I do totally agree. It's everyone's job.
I think
there's what Pete was saying. Like Pete, you listen to each other, mate, and that's what we are all really good at. And I think that's what you got to do.
I think there's another point to make here too, and there is a distributed responsibility for beat, but there's, in my opinion, a higher share goes to the drummer. You never really hear of anybody saying, "Oh, that song got faster because of the bass player." So, what Steve was saying about the link between the bass player and the drummer, it's almost the first requirement going forward. If that works, everything else can lay on top of that. But if that's not working, then there are complications. And often the complication occurs because perhaps the drummer's going along, but the bass player's playing, for example, slightly above the beat.
Forward.
Slightly ahead of it. Things get a bit excited. This is sounding great. Off we go. The fingers, the adrenaline pumps, and all of a sudden the bass player's flying along, and all of a sudden the drummer's getting a shoot of adrenaline, and the song's going from 95 to 108 real quick.
You always play faster on stage anyway. You always play the song faster.
You do, yeah. So I think there's the point I'm making is I think there's a higher responsibility for the drummer, but there has to be a good relationship between the drummer and the bass player, and then you go from there. But if it's not working, if you're in a band and things are quickening up, then in general, the first part of the discussion is, hey, that was a fast song, what's going on? And then you find out what's going on and you bring it, you go back from there. But also practicing to, I practiced against records, so that gave me, I think, a reasonably good start in trying to keep the tempo. But playing to a metronome, I couldn't, that's a really great idea, and some of the best teachers in the world, I think, will tell you to do that.
Yeah. Well, even from a guitar perspective, mate, like playing to a metronome is the way to go. Like, it's really easy to get out of time if you're not thinking about it, especially if you're letting loose.
I agree.
But
for a guitarist, for a guitarist, the important thing is also spend a lot of time practicing rhythm. Like you spend hours playing lead stuff, but in a song it's only like a few seconds, right, of lead stuff. You actually got a responsibility to keep the groove going as well as a rhythm guitarist, which I think is as important as the lead stuff. And a lot of
for me, I reckon the rhythm part's more important because
definitely it's much part of the song.
Yeah,
absolutely. But so many people don't spend time on that, right?
Exactly.
And it's easier. You hit a power A chord, you can stand there, like, smile.
See, for me, man, like I play a lot of acoustic guitar, and most of the stuff I write, although it's rock stuff, but it all starts off on acoustic guitar, and I play acoustic guitar very percussively. So, and that's what I've always done. I'm really hard on it, for me, I'm keeping my own time, but that's But with acoustic, it's not that I can't solo on it, but you don't need to. If you can keep a really good rhythm going and make it animated, and it's like this is for me, man. This is guitar player drums. That's one. That's a Bigfoot, man, Australian made, stomp box.
Yeah.
That's a really deep bass one.
Hang on, we'll just zoom in, Steve. Can we just do that again? I'll just zoom in. There we go.
Yeah, there you go, man.
Yeah,
it's just a hunk of wood.
It's a hunk of wood, Pete.
Those drummers. Yeah.
Hang on. I have a whole bunch of them, guys.
There's another hunk of wood.
Yeah, man. This has This has a couple of PZA pickups in it. That's a volume pot in the middle, tone pot, sorry, and these are two blend pots. So you can, depends where you put your foot, you can change the tone and the volume of it. So that's that one. I've got this sucker, this baby, this one. Can you hear that, man? So yeah. It's
got a drum roll built in, mate.
It's like a snare drum, but the same deal. Like, depends where you hit it, it changes the tone of it. So, man, heel and toe gives you two drum sounds, and the same deal. It's got a volume and a tone pot on it. And when you're feeling lazy, you got this baby.
Cajon.
Yes, mate, you got that right. So, I did the same thing to this. I put a tone and volume pot and a jack in it so I can plug it straight into the front of the house.
Wow, that's cool, man.
Oh, yeah, it's freaking awesome, mate. The sounds you can get out of it. So
that's amazing.
But that's what I use, man. You sit on one. I've got three on my feet, which is all different. So basically, you got a floor tom, bass drum, and a snare, technically, all in one hit. So
The only
I'm
thing
just playing with a new idea at the moment, man. I've got a series of actual drum pedals, bass drum pedals. Yeah, I'm going to put 3 in a row and make a longer board and voice it differently in each section. That's the next trick.
Yeah, right. The only thing with the what do you call it? The stomp box. I've got a big foot as well because they're all custom made. I wish that someone would make another one the same height, so your feet are at the same height. Because especially if you're using it when you're standing up, I guess I have done that before. It sounds really, really fat and awesome for the first 35 seconds. And after that, it's like, oh wow, I should have been a track and field expert before I started playing this, because just to develop some kind of RSI strain in the front of my leg. And
but I very rarely play a stomp box standing up. It's always sitting down. And what I was playing with yesterday, because I've been looking at a whole bunch of different scenarios, how I can be a one-man band. And what I found yesterday was that if I use a normal bass drum pedal, your foot movement's very small and you don't need a lot of pressure to get the volume or the sound that you want. Because normally if you're sitting down using these conventional ones, your legs are going up and down and you're trying to play guitar, so the guitar's doing this too. So
right, exactly. Yeah.
And when you're trying to solo and play single note stuff, man, it's all like chasing the fretboard around. So I think, I've got an idea which I think is going to solve that problem. So I'll keep you posted.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, but there's a lot of there we go, Chris. Hey, Chris.
Hey,
if you want to jump on for 5 seconds, is that all right? I might flick that to Chris. So with the stomp box thing, it's definitely a science and it's a practice too. You can't just do it for 5 minutes and go on to the gig, because it's a stamina thing and also coordination.
Yeah.
Because they say this, I learned this in jazz school. Once you start another layer, you got to keep another layer, because you'll find people, they start pumping, 1, 2, 3, 4. Next minute it's like 1, 3, 1, 2. It's like on every second bar. But
I never saw Eric Clapton use a stomp box.
A drummer.
Yeah, a drummer.
Because my tone changed, because I start with the toe, the next minute it's cow kicking, and after the gig, after you go through all this remedial massage of getting the front of your leg massage back together, you get a sore hip, and your weight's been off kilter the whole place. So anyway, it is what it is.
That's why I sit down. Because mate, for me, I started long time ago. I started playing the drums with my guitar. So from at jam rehearsals and stuff, where everyone's having a drink or a smoke, I'd be behind the drum kit and using the hi-hat and the bass drum and playing at the same time. And you can hit cymbals in between strumming and stuff. So I started doing all that just to entertain myself. And I've always done that. But for me, if say for instance a solo performer or even a duo, I don't want to be carting a drum kit around. So there are some really good. Hey Chris, there are some really good inventions getting around at the moment. Farmer foot drums from California. Yeah, Farmer foot drums are basically set up for a guitar player. They've got 4 or 5 pedals on them. It's got a little tiny bass drum on it, snare upside down, cymbals, and you can play the whole drum kit, everything as if it was a whole kit with your 2 feet. That's pretty cool.
Sean Kirk. Have you ever seen Sean Kirk perform? Where he's got a whole series, like playing a full kit with his feet while he's playing guitar and singing and playing harp. He's just awesome to watch. Amazing.
Yeah, and awesome. Mate, he's phenomenal. And like when you actually look at his kit, man, it's bizarre because you can see the drumsticks moving, but no one's actually hitting them. It's all cable operated.
So welcome, Chris. How you going, sir?
Very good, gentlemen. And Doug.
Good to see you, mate.
Thanks, mate. So we're talking about which Doug?
He knows.
We're talking about
at the bottom.
Okay. We're talking about drums or drummers, more importantly. So, what's your take on
roadies?
There we go. So what's your take on a good drummer? What's important to you?
Consistent
everything.
in timing.
Timing?
Yeah, it has to be able to keep the same tempo, not a wandering tempo for me. And when to know not to overplay, which is always.
Yep, that's a good point.
That's just me. There's a lot of drummers out there who, if they played any other instrument, they couldn't carry a tune in a bucket. And the issue you have is they try and cover their they try and cover their inadequacies with just putting rolls and fills and crap everywhere. Perfect example is, a few casual jam nights, you'll occasionally come across one. So I'm sure you guys know what it is. So.
That's awesome.
In defence of, I know exactly what you're saying there, Chris. In defence of some of those guys, some of them come along to a jam night and they haven't played in a long time. These are guys that have probably got a fair bit of experience behind them. They come along, and I see it as well. I see drummers come along and they want to hit everything they can really quickly, really hard,
including the bathtub.
Yeah, everything. And I think it's a shot of adrenaline, and everything just comes out explosively, and it takes a bit of time and a couple of sessions to calm them down, and then get them, thinking a bit more about the song. But you're absolutely right. Overplaying in drums is a shocking thing. I mean, drums are very, very. It's easy to overplay, actually.
Yeah. Is there anyone who wants? Sorry, I've just got someone waiting in the wings. Can I swap out for like 5 minutes?
Yeah.
Anyone you like. Okay, Doug. I'll just be 1 second. Where is it? Yeah, don't hang. Oh, my phone is talking to me. Seriously, every time I say seriously, it talks to me. Okay, here we go, Doug. Here we go, set and welcome, Kev. Hey, go, Kev.
Hey, Kevy.
Oh, here we go.
Hey.
How are you?
Yeah, good. We're talking about drummers. So, what's important to you, being a bass player?
Well, when the guitarist doesn't have his phone talking to him on a fucking live is pretty good, but we won't go into that, will we?
We won't go into what you're rolling up either, but anyway.
Oh.
In what respect? Like drummers, there's all different levels of drumming. There's all different people, there's all different players, and all different tastes. So, what's important to me is someone that's got a little bit of passion, a little bit of drive, and enjoys playing their instrument. There's three really key things. I heard Chris. He said exactly the right things to say. You need someone that holds time. Some of the songs require a little bit of fluency on the tempo, but anyone that goes crazy is really hard to deal with. Very, very hard to deal with.
Overplaying's a big killer.
Yeah, it is, especially for bass players, because we rely very heavily on our drummer. And if we got a drummer that speaks too much, well, we can't play.
Oh, there he goes again. He did that to me this afternoon, and I said, "Oh, it's glitching, man! It's glitching." And when he was just pausing, he got me a few times. Yeah. That was well said, Kev. That was good.
Yeah. Well, as you know, I play nothing well, but I attempt to play guitar, bass, and drums. So the beauty of playing drums, and when I have played in other bands playing drums, is people. Well, usually the bass player, the first thing they say is, talking about, time and you don't overplay and all the rest of that. It's awesome how you can sit in a pocket. And that's probably, and the exact opposite when I'm playing bass with the drummer, because I know what it's like on both sides.
Right.
And that's that rhythm section. Like, people forget about it and they all talk about, these wankers who like shredding and, all over the fretboard guitarists.
Oh, mate, come on.
But then you've got, you get rid of that rhythm section. Yeah, notice how the real guys have got beers and having a smoke. Okay. And is that a soy double macchiato latte or whatever it is?
Kevin, have you been talking to Chris?
Should
No.
be.
No, not at all. Your secret's out.
I don't mind a chai latte actually, but anyway, that's another story.
So it's just a matter of that helps me appreciate the other guy's job.
Carol,
Yeah,
you know what I mean. So and expand on that. What do you guys think of that? I don't know. Anyone else is more multi sort of more of a multiplayer than myself? Or Steve plays you play a bit of everything, don't you, Steve?
Yeah, mate.
Yeah, so you know what it's like. It makes once you've been on the other side, sitting down behind that kit, you know what they what the bass player is expecting because you do it yourself,
Exactly.
and and then when you're playing bass, you know what the drummer needs too, and that's the thing. As Kevy would know a lot of, especially if you're going a little bit abstract, just those little indicators, those little looks, those little hints, and all the rest of that. Because if that rhythm section turns to shit, the whole song's gone.
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
right.
that's right.
And like you said, Chris, can't hold no groove if you ain't got no pocket, brother.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And before we get a definition on pocket, I just want to say, for me, a massive thing is intensity. So yes, someone can keep time. Yes, someone can change. Someone's listening to the song turns, but intensity meaning. So when I'm actually soloing, if I'm giving more intensity in my playing as being the lead instrument, I need the rhythm section and Kevin's very, very good at this. So you, Chris, and so Pete, you listen, and Steve as well. Have I done a gig with you, Berkey? Mate, I think I have.
I played bass with you once, yeah. I filled in on bass.
Right. So just it breathes, right? So because the whole rhythm section is comping, means complementing. So if I'm giving intensity, but I really struggle playing with drummers who don't understand or hear what's going on stage. They just think my solo is my solo. They're not listening. What I'm doing. They might say, "Oh yeah, cool guitar solo," but they're not listening to the intensity, because there's a difference between, you know what I'm talking about.
Probably in awe, mate. Wonder what the fuck's going on.
It's all Steve's doing is on the PA trying to turn that bastard down. Well, it's a storyboard. You got to have your light and dark, and that's obviously that's a bit. Sometimes it's a bit predictable depending on which way you look at it. But you've got to be able. The whole band's got to be able to. If you're pulling back and starting to roll the volume back.
All the lights, mate. I like lots of light.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, totally.
Yeah, so if the whole band pulls back, because when you do fire it up, if everything's at 150 and you're and everyone's sort of playing flat out, there's you've turned it into a punk band, which is fine. That's a different place to be.
Right.
But that's as you were saying, that you've got to be able to. Everyone's got to be able to be on the same page, and that's it's a bit like the storyboard, isn't it? You've got your little valleys, and everyone can sort of pull back, and that's hard. If everyone's sort of sucking back and you're sort of slowing down, you've gone into the neck pickup, you roll the volume back, you're starting to do a few little nuances, and the drummer's still going, thinking his neck on the brain. It ain't going to work.
Right. Well, then, what about horror stories? If we go around, if everyone's got a horror story of a rhythm section crash. Maybe Peter, if you want to go first, so maybe you
love these 3-hour ones when I'm here, don't you?
yeah. What about Pete? If you go first, what's a rhythm section train wreck that happened for you?
I fell off a truck once playing drums.
Okay, I didn't mean literally. Oh my god. Okay, fair enough.
We're
just taking the cake, mate.
Playing somewhere in Victoria in a band, and the drums are set up on the back of this semi-trailer, a flat thing, semi-trailer, and my stool's up against the metal bit at the rim at the back. And for some silly reason, we stood up during a song or something happened, and I had to stand up, and when I sat down,
was gone.
I sat down back on the stool and legs and everything. I just disappeared over the back of the truck in the middle of the song.
Awesome.
You're not the only one that's happened to.
So my responsibility for the tempo of that song was abrogated instantly.
That's a new word, mate. Abrogated. Let me write that down. Whoa. Okay, and what about Bergie? Rhythm section train wreck?
No major ones. Just like, I suppose, like a singer starting the American national anthem too high and just go, like, you know what I mean? It's like starting a tune at like twice the speed, and everyone's looking at you, and you're like, this is going to come to a train wreck real fast, you know, like. I don't, but nothing really bad. Just drummers not being able to keep time. That's all. I threw that out for the sake of it, you know. But, you know.
And what about Steve? Rhythm section train wreck. You probably see this a lot being the jam.
Every second or third Thursday or Friday. Yeah, mate, yeah, like
clapping on 1 and 3.
Oh, look, mate, I've had drummers where I remember one particular gig. I can't remember what the song was, but mate, it started off at 3 times the tempo. It was horrendous, and like we're all looking at each other, and he's head down, just going for it. So the singer looks at me, and I'm just going. So he starts singing, and there's no way he'd get the words out. It was punk band, mate. It was freaking hilarious. And I'm trying to get him to slow down. Eventually, we ended up finishing the song at half the pace, but it was pretty horrendous. And the silly thing was, all the patrons by that stage were so plastered, none of them even noticed.
None of them gave a shit, and no one noticed.
Yeah, right. What about
pulled it off?
Chris? Rhythm section train wreck?
It's funny Pete mentioned that. Sorry, let me rephrase that. My drummer, but I wasn't at the gig at the time. One of my drummers, Cole, he actually went the ass off the back of the side of the truck, playing on a semi trailer as well. And because I remember them all telling me about it. They couldn't understand why the snare was going funny, but that's because he was trying to get outside the tarp, but he was still hitting the snare. But so he saved it, but it was they would have. I think it was well before cameras were on phones. Otherwise, that shit would have been all over YouTube. Yeah. But for me, personally, I've been pretty lucky. I've only played with Doug a couple of times, but
thanks, mate.
But probably the most notable, I was playing. There's a large family that. Whenever they have, you know, they'll get us to play the opening of an envelope. You know, whenever there's a 50th, whenever there's a big party and they've got a massive family and group of friends, there's always, you know, a few hundred people. We were playing one out at west from here, about half an hour, 45 minutes away from here. And we played in this, it was the first time they'd had a band in this big sort of open shed. And you know, we were supplying the PA and all the rest of it, and you know, we're blowing off into the bush, so it didn't matter about taking any koalas out. There was no neighbours behind it, so it was all good. And but I took my Mesa 400 Plus and a Mesa V12 Titan, and I was bi-amping it into a quad 10 and 2 double 15s, and also going through the front of the house. So you know, if you're allowed to use horsepower, listen, when you go to Willowbank, mate, you don't take a 4-banger. So off we go. So we've done a bit of a sound check and everything. As halfway through the first song, all the crowd's in front of me. All this shit is falling out of all the rafters, number plates, old bits of this, probably someone's stash from 1982. I cleaned out everything, and it all just landed it was just landing, or the crap was going everywhere. So I thought that's probably about as bad as it gets for me on the rhythm side. There's been some others when I haven't been playing drums or bass, but we'll get it. That's another story. But that's probably it, actually, just showering the poor crowd with crap out of their own shed that they didn't know they still had.
Oh, wow.
That's awesome.
And Kevy, rhythm section train wreck?
I got 2 that are very notable in my life because they're embarrassing as fuck. I don't even know what to say. They were so embarrassing. But anyway, I won't mention any names, Doug. No, nothing to do with Dougie. A few years ago now, we're talking about probably 16, 17 years ago, I was asked to fill in for a very, very noted and very well-respected jazz pianist from Australia. Very way up there. And I was so honoured. And I was looking forward to it. And, of course, nerves are kicking in because of the name that was behind the keyboard. And I was like, wow, this is like, wow. So, you know, learned every song that I could. You know, anyway, turned up at this gig where it was a 1920s theme. So we were playing all 1920s jazz stuff. And the drummer turned up in a pair. We're all in suit and tie. Remember, it's 1920s. It's supposed to be like high class, very high caliber stuff. The drummer turns up in a T-shirt and a pair of bloody tracksuit pants and a pair of thongs. And he said, no one's going to know because I sit behind the drums anyway. That was the start of the night. I don't think I have to say much more than that. That was pretty much the start of the night, and it didn't get any better. It was quite different. I was luckily enough, I was on stage with some really seasoned professionals, and different. It's a different feeling from a drummer, you know, different. Wow. The second one that I can think of is playing in Brisbane for another well-to-do gig, and we had this drummer because we're all ring-ins, and had this drummer, great drummer, big chops, beautiful dynamics in his playing, but would go on his own journey and tell his own story, and he closed his eyes while he was playing, and he'd feel it, and that's great. Awesome player. But there's one song that we all remember. The keyboardist was hitting him because he had his eyes closed and we couldn't stop the song. Every time we tried to stop the song, he'd play a solo in and like, oh yeah, we thought we was rolling out. Nah, he was into another solo and had his eyes closed, and the keyboardist literally is trying to, you know, call him. I mean, you could hear it through the fold as well. You could hear it coming back, yelling at him, come on, stop. And he just kept going. And it was like, you know, honestly, it would have been about 64 bars late. Just kept going. Yep. And the keyboardist literally walked over to him and grabbed him. Oi! And shook him.
Wow.
He jumped. He thought he didn't even know what was going on. He just thought we were just playing in lights and darks.
Wow. There you go.
Yeah.
And what about Doug? Do you have a rhythm section train, Greg?
Excluding the people here?
Yeah.
No, look, I know you only brought me back in. So when Kevy and Chris are talking about bagging Doug, you're actually pointing at me, I'm sure.
The other Doug.
Look, the other Doug. Look, I've had a couple, and it's usually when. Look, I'm not going to blame drummers. There's been one or two where a drummer just hasn't got the groove that we're trying to get, and it's just a train wreck. But I find more train wrecks come from singers, and it's because I know Don's watching, right? Don isn't one of them, unfortunately. I can't bag him too much. But singers that come along to a jam night and they say, oh, do you know the song? No, we don't. Okay, great. Let's start it then and get into it. And they bring a song without any chords, without anything, and expect all of these musicians to try and play along to it. And that generally turns into a train wreck because everyone's trying to do their best they can and everyone's trying to satisfy, and the singer's just sailing along. Regardless of what's going on behind them, right? And I think that, for me, that drives more of a train. You can hold a beat if someone says, here are the three chords. You can pour a facsimile of it. But it's often people want to come and play complex songs thinking that every musician knows every song that was ever written. I find more of that.
That's such a lie, Dougie.
Bullshit. You know it's true.
Oh, no.
Kevy. That one's for Kevy.
You're right, though, Doug, because, you know, and it's funny. It's almost as though sometimes some musos don't want to give up. It's not as though they're giving up any trade secrets or any secrets. But have you ever noticed that you'll get up on you'll be with a bunch of people you don't know, and there'll be the one who's in charge who'll make themselves in charge instantly, and it's usually the singer or the saxophonist. And because I remember one night this guy gets up and he could play the saxophone. I'd heard him before, and this was at a jam. This was one of the jam nights, and he said, "Oh, we'll play a song." I said, "Okay, what are we playing?" And he said, "Oh, it's just blues." Yeah, okay, but okay, so but he was talking about something else. I said, "Okay, so what song?" He said, "Oh, just follow me. It's just a blues riff." And he kicked off with let's stick together, classic I was, well, dude, why didn't you? Because that's not just a blues, like it's got a very, very specific, I was playing bass that night, it's got a very, very, very specific bass riff. And he looked at me in disgust about halfway through the first one when I picked up what he was playing and I actually started playing the song, and it was like, dude, you didn't write it and you don't own it. Just share the info. I don't know why, oh no, it's just this, it's just that. Like it's. Do you guys notice? Have you guys ever come across that sort of stuff? It seems, oh no, it's just this. Tell us what it is, because you never know. The other guy, once you tell them, people might have their heads, and it's a little bit easier for them to pick up.
Look, we get that a lot.
One night, I said it was like 3 chords, and said, "Here are the 3 chords." What was the song? And I didn't know the song at first. And he started playing it. It was a Steely Dan song, right? Never just 3 chords. And it was bridges and choruses, and you're just like, so they look all right. The drummer looks all right because he keep up. But Marcus, he looks like a dickhead because he doesn't know there's 27 chords in this bloody thing. Like it's totally agree. See it a lot. That's why I stick to the blues, right? 3 chords.
Yeah, but Chris, the sax player, thought he was doing the same thing. Like, we get it. Oh, you guys know because you've been to the jam. We get a lot where singers get up there and they pick a song that none of us know, but they're adamant they're going to sing it anyway. We get it quite a lot.
Practiced.
Yeah, or we know the song, but they don't, and they're the ones that picked it. And the worst thing is too, mate, is that even if they do know the song, they got their timing wrong or the feeling wrong. Like they're playing someone else's obscure version of it that we've never heard of before. Yes, that's make life interesting.
It is part of the rich tapestry of a jam night, and everything that you say is true. But I've seen Steve and Doug and Kevy and a few other people get up there and absolutely save a song. So there are times where it doesn't, all the planets don't line up, but I can see there's 1 or 2 absolute diamonds up on stage that are holding it together. And it takes courage to get up and do that. Not everyone can do it. I think that I just told everybody and all the people that go along and have a go. I know exactly what you say about particular singers and how do you stop that? Why would you want to? Because it ends up being it sort of sorts itself out a bit.
It's part of the fun, and it gets people up as well.
Yeah.
But if it's a train wreck, Pete, have you ever noticed if it's a train wreck, sometimes that'll actually give someone else, oh, well, I can't be that bad, I'll get up and have a go. So it actually probably
it's motivation.
Kevy's still playing to this day,
Right, Frank was crap. I could be crap too. But Chris and Kevin, just quickly going back to what I'm not too sure whether you were involved earlier on when we were talking about speed of a song. If there's a 4-piece band, there's not equal amounts of responsibility on keeping the tempo, but everybody is responsible. And my feeling with it is the drummer probably holds a larger percentage of that responsibility. And, I made the comment earlier, nobody ever really says, oh, that song got quicker because the bass player sped it up. But there is a collective responsibility.
Pick the bass player.
That's a washing machine impersonation.
On a jam night, pretty well the first person I'm looking for is the bass player. And if we click, then that's the first layer that works. And most times, and it's a joy to play with, like, everybody that's on the screen. It's a joy to play with anyone that's on the screen. But it's not just the drummer. So everybody has a place.
If they take off at the start, like when I jump in, like perfect example would be Screaming Jets Better. The drummer takes off at the start, and as soon as you hear it, this is going to turn to shit in about 15 seconds. So I'll just sit there and I'll nod my head at the tempo, and eventually they get the idea and they'll pull it back to something that you can actually fit all the other parts in, because otherwise it'll sound like you've got a 33 on 45 and the Chipmunks are doing it. That's just a perfect. That's just one of the ones that always and they all not that all, but that is a common one. Yeah, I know better. Yeah, and as soon as they start and they haven't got that drum score right, apparently you don't. You've heard it on the radio, and then they take off. They cover their tracks. They want to hurry up and finish it, and it's just one of those songs that will turn to shit in a half.
Yeah, well, if it starts badly, it'll end badly. And on a jam night, I very rarely start. I'm watching for particularly the singer, or if this is the singer guitarist, he's going to set the pace. I'm going to follow him.
Yeah,
and I need 2 bars and away I go.
Yeah,
maybe. And 3.
I think maybe even just saying that out loud is just good old-fashioned counting in. But I've got another chat in about 15 minutes, but I just want to add a train wreck story of a rhythm section. I did a gig at Gil Hurley's at Chermside back in the day. Anyway, it was the only day I left my spare guitar in the car, and I may have been shredding away, and I snapped a string. So I said, drum solo. So I left the stage. I was using a wireless, and I went outside and tried to get my change to a guitar string change in the car park. Do you think I could find my strings in the car park? I was out there for about 15 minutes, so it must have been the longest rhythm and bass section. So because when I came back in, they were still going. The dance floor was gone; it was destroyed, and these dudes are so pissed off. And it was I thought it's funny now, but at the time.
So what you're saying, your train wreck was actually not the rhythm section; it was your fault.
Yeah, but would have been all right if it was maybe Dick Led Zeppelin there.
Yeah.
and probably another funny story. There was a guy called Tony Gary. He's passed away now. He's a very funny dude. Played in my band. We did a gig, and anyway, we had a sound man there, and we were setting up. And I looked over, and he's having like words with the sound guy. And I went over there, and Tony was tatted up and very, very aggressive dude. If you got on the wrong side of him. I got in between. I said, what's going on? And Tony said, he doesn't have any subs. And I was like, okay, because Tony had a crook hip and he wanted subs so he didn't have to work so hard. Anyway, they got pissed off, taunting each other. So the sound guy went outside to have a smoke, and I turned my back to set up some guitar gear, and the drummer was like taunting the sound guy through the glass and, winding him up big time. And the sounds like, yeah, I'm going to do this and that. And then gets the attention of someone in the beer garden. Next minute, it's on. There's these guys punching the living hell out of the sound guy and some other patron. The police come. So before we even do sound check, the sound guy is arrested because of the drummer. Yeah, Two-Tone. That's it. Dom knows him. That's him. Two-Tone. He was a classic, man. And it was like, seriously. So that gig, I remember very distinctly because I was stressing because I had to learn very quickly how to use someone else's gear because I didn't have my gear there, and then remote mix at the same time. So that was definitely a rhythm section crash. It could have been avoided just through clear communication. But Two-Tone, classic dude. But is there maybe if we do one more round of questioning, and we still got Bergie in the background there. Anything else about Pete? I think you had a point there about setting up, or maybe even how do we avoid a train wreck? Maybe we do a round from different instruments.
Doug, drop me out. Get Bergie back in.
Are you sure?
Yeah, of course. Catch us later, boys.
Okay,
yeah, good to see you, mate. See
And
you
next
soon.
time I'll run up and I'll do the mana thing back to the camera or something so I can get my head to go somewhere.
Okay, man. See you soon.
See you, brother.
Okay. So maybe if you want to, what do you do, Pete, to save the band? Like, do you just play simply, or do you don't play fills, or do you play loud hi-hats? Say, hey, listen to the beat. How do you rein the other musos in from a drummer's perspective?
I find that it's levels of confidence that start with the bass player, and it moves up from there. And if that works, and it can be, that level of confidence can come by knowing the person beforehand, and or listening within the first couple of bars. I'll know.
Okay.
And he'll know too. He'll know whether I've got it or I haven't. And some bass players smile at me, and some of them frown at me. So it's a level of confidence. It's been a very interesting discussion, this one, because you'll find that plenty of bands go through their whole life and don't even discuss this particular topic. How do we keep the tempo? Well, everybody go, well, it's the bloody drummer's responsibility. Well, there's it's shared. So,
yep.
Okay. I think it starts with that.
Okay. And Kev, what do you think? What do you do to save a rhythm section? I mean, I play with you a few times, and I guess we have a chemistry that's actually, I love it, to be honest. I don't have to say anything. You're actively listening. You just do what you do. But having said that, it's probably got nothing to do with the question I asked. But anyway.
Well, I sort of what I see when things are falling to pieces. There's a good musician. I didn't say the best musician, but a good musician will go with it.
Yeah,
right.
They go with everybody, because we all play in any band, in any jam night, and anywhere that we play live, even when we're jamming out with other people, even if it's in the back room, you play to your weakness, not to your positives. So if somebody hasn't got it for a song, you play with them. You don't play against them, because we're all in it together. It's a team. It's not. Music's teamwork. If you're by yourself and you stand out the front, you want to be the legend, that's fine, but you won't bring everyone with you.
Yeah,
you need to work on the worth thing. So if it's fallen to pieces, you go with where it's fallen to pieces. And it's hard sometimes because it can be the aptitude.
Yep.
Not the attitude, the aptitude of the player. But yeah, you just play with that level, and usually 99% of the time it comes good.
Awesome. And sorry to
very wise, mate.
Yep. Sorry, I've got like less than 4 minutes. So Doug, very quickly, what do you do to keep the band together?
Totally agree with what Kevy just said. And I can't top that. I think from a jam night, the thing that I always say to people that come along for their first time or whatever, and if it's not so good, is you got to keep coming back, and you've got to keep doing it over and over, because I think the way that sees me through a train wreck is that every train wreck is bringing you one session closer to one of those organic, magical moments. So you've got to go through the train wrecks, and if you don't keep coming back, you'll miss out on that magic piece. But Mr. Solmiati said earlier, which I totally agree with. There's some magical pieces you got to work for that.
Yep. And Steve?
Yeah, mate. Kevy's right. You got to play to the weak link. You just can't go off your own bat hoping that they're going to get their shit together. So, because it's not going to work. So you need to respect other people's levels of playing, and you need to play to that. And for me, like I know when I'm playing bass and the drummer hasn't got it, I will just play the solid beat, the count, till they pick it up if they can. If they can't, well then you got to try and follow some abstract drum pattern. But it's all. But I think the go is made is to be patient, and look after each other.
Okay, cool. And Bergie, what do you do to help keep it all together?
Mate, end of the day, when you're playing in your own band, normally I look at the drummer and you look up or you look down or whatever, and and he knows I want to go up or drop the tempo or pick the tempo. You've got your face looks of each other, that what you pull. in a jam night, mate, at the end of the day, you bring it back to a 4/4 beat, and then come back in again. Come back, you strip it down, get back on straight and narrow, and then come back in again. And because as long as you've got a beat 1, 2, 3, 4 with the drummer, you can make as many mistakes as you want as long as you've got a good beat behind. So just take it back, get it right. Good. That fella at the Springwood, he always plays off beat every time, 1 and 3 or instead of 2 and 4 or whatever. And it's a bloody nightmare. And at times I've been on saying no, and I've actually, Steve knows what I'm talking about. And it's like, no, now. Yeah. And you start rocking the head of your guitar, but when you hit the snare drum, but that's what you come up with, and it works because he's like, oh, okay, right, bang, I'm in.
Okay,
that's
cool.
Yeah.
And we just got thank you for saying that. But I really like what you just said there, Bergie, is non-verbals. You're not talking, you're giving indication.
Smile.
Yeah. Yep. Okay, I'll just get Don on to close it out. I'll just swap you out for a second there, Bergie, for a second. Don, here we go. Your closing comment. What do you do to keep a band together? And welcome. But I have to go in
thanks,
30
mate.
seconds.
No sweat. I'll keep it really short. I think if you're fortunate enough to have a good drummer behind you, you just kind of let them drive the way. So once it kind of gets a bit lost, you just let everybody kind of back off a bit and let the drummer pick it up, and then everybody sit back on top of that is kind of what I've seen happen. Yeah, that certainly works for sure. That's that's what I do. Don't sing too much. Just let the drummer kind of do their thing. You know, let them get back into the groove, and then everybody else can settle back on top, and away you go again.
Yeah, I like what you just said there, because like a child learning how to ride a bike, parents trying to keep correcting them every time they fall, but they've got to learn to and self-correct. Like let them give them time. Yeah. Well, I'm sorry, I have to wrap it up because I have another thing to do in 7 minutes. But this is cool. I think we're getting better.
Yeah,
we're
cool.
six episodes in now. So next week will be episode 7. So yeah, we'll have to do something else. And sorry, I had parent-teacher interviews, so I had to start a little bit late today. But anyway, I do have to jet. So please, everyone, wave. Oh, there's Chris.
Thanks,
guys. Thank you, sir.
Good to see you.
Good to see you, Kevin.
Mate.
See you soon.
I'll just pull you from the.
See you guys.
See you, man. Here we go. So please like and subscribe to the Gold Coast Muso's Jam and down here somewhere. And we will see you all again next time. And check out the YouTube channel. I've got one. It's called Doug D. Jong or something. I really need subscribers. But I will see you all again soon. See you later.